All right, we are here with the finals. We are going to be seeing T with the Raikou deck up against Connor here with Volcanion. We will be seeing Connor's point of view. And the Hoopa start, no!
Never what you want to see, but especially not in the finals. You work all your way, grinded out game after game. But,
with this hand, too. This is atrocious.
Yeah, this, maybe we can talk that.
Oh! Yeah, this is terrible.
No, never what you want to see, but that's why it's the best of 3, baby.
Yeah, and this is great, a best of 3. And I want to talk about this Raikou deck. So this is a huge point in this matchup is going to be this Raikou's ability. Shining Spirit or something like that. I'm gonna double check while I can cheat on look at the deck list here real quick. But it does take Shining Body. There it is. It does take 20 less damage as long as it has any lightning energy attached to it. So it gives it effectively 140 HP, but then it also has this Fighting Fury Belt. So we effectively have a 180 HP single price attacker. We get an Ultra Ball. Okay. But we did see 2 energy coming into play for onto this Raikou. And another card we didn't talk about at all is this Jolteon EX. So the Jolteon EX just completely, as Vinny just pointed out in chat, this Jolteon EX with that Flash Ray attack does 3 energy for 70 damage, but it cannot be damaged by basic Pokemon during the next turn. And that just is, that's everything in this Volcanion deck. And do they play the Pokemon Ranger? That will be a great question. Let's see if there's a Ranger. Wow, there is not. But there is one option that we could see. And there's no Ranger. Is no Ranger. However, we could see there are Pokemon catchers in this list. So we could actually see something like a Pokemon catcher heads to bring up a bench Pokemon, and then a Lysander to bring back up that Jolteon. It would actually reset the Flash Ray attack and make it so that you're able to take a KO, or removes that Flash Ray ability, or the effect of that attack. It removes it, resets it when it hits the bench, and then you bring it back up into the active and take it out. And since T has benched other Pokemon at this point, there's no option to go with a lone Jolteon, so it doesn't seem to be their priority in this game. It does take time to set up, of course, but that is definitely an option. At some point you can just completely wall out this Volcanion deck. And I agree with Nick in chat saying should have gone lone Jolteon, but you do still have to set that up. You did start with the Raikou, so putting on some pressure with the Raikou makes sense. But yeah, benching a Shaman, benching 2 other Raikous this might be an oversight. It is just open deck list, so there's no Ranger coming, but yeah, and I agree with you there, Nick, that you could have just sat behind the Raikou for sure. But we'll see. Maybe not needing to go with that. We'll see what the strategy is and if there is a way to play around it.
We're gonna just not get anything because of Feral City, limiting your bench to 3. Don't want to bench anything else down. Blocking yourself out of Shaman would never feel good. There is the Pokemon catcher.
Is a heads.
Gonna start trying to put some damage on there. They do play only 1 Rough Seas. That's their only way to
Well, they actually
heal.
get the K. Oh, they can't get the KO here without an additional fire energy to steam up. This Jolteon does only have 160 HP. They did just play that Fisherman, so have they already used a steam up, maybe? I looked away. I think they must have already used a steam up. No, they didn't.
So.
Wow.
I think there was an oversight of thinking how many fire energies was in their discard pile.
Yeah, and you know what's another thing here is that this Raikou deck actually plays Rough Seas, which can heal lightning Pokemon. Does only play 1, so it might not be easy to find. But it can heal lightning Pokemon, so eventually you can actually heal off this damage from this Jolteon over time. Funnily enough, these dual-type Volcanion EXs are also water Pokemon, which can benefit from the Rough Seas, so it's kind of a really hilarious interaction with that Rough Seas. But we see, and we talk about this in chat with the lone Jolteon strategy potentially, but there's so many Pokemon in play for T now that I don't think it even matters.
There is a Lysander there. We could get a...
Yeah, but you're missing the energy. Yeah, I think it's got a... you could use this... Oh, it's really tricky, actually, because you can't take the KO with Power Heater currently. It only does 20 damage. And the Volcanion in the active cannot attack because of that Volcanic Heat.
Okay, well, there's a switch now, so if we can get ahead on this catcher, we do get a knockout, if it's the route that we choose to go for.
And it's going to be the gold one.
Heads.
Always heads on the gold one. Well...
Okay. All right, did
there
manage to get ahead, so we're gonna take out that win con from that way, which
yeah.
If you're Connor, you're probably having a sigh of relief now because there does not seem to be a way to recover this Jolteon. So from the rest of the game on out, it does seem like we'll be able to
well,
attack.
actually, there is a Brock's Grit, a single copy of Brock's Grit, which is a supporter that recycles Pokemon and energy. I think it's shuffle 5 in any combination of Pokemon.
Did not see that.
Yeah, well, you don't see that at all. Brock's Grit, right?
Delinquent, man. This is... I love this list.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in here. There's a Hex Maniac, that Delinquent, a single experience share, Faded Town. Yeah, this is a very wild list.
Yeah, I wonder if that Faded Town ever has relevant
Shuffle 6. Okay, yes, it was Shuffle 6 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy back into your deck as a supporter. Not usually something that's played since you do have Super Rod in this format.
Rod.
Yeah, Brock from the top ropes. But yeah, I mean, I think... I wonder if we'll see an adjustment going into game 2. Of course, we still have plenty of time before we get to that point, but I'm curious to see if T will kind of maybe take a closer look at the matchup, closer look at the lists as well. There was a significant amount of time between their top 4 match and this final match. They were able to take their 2-0 series win over Evatol in something like 10 or 15 minutes. So they had a lot of time to sit and maybe get some food or something, you know, not pay attention to the games and not think about the matchup at all. So maybe there's like a, you know, they didn't get back into the tournament mindset quite yet. So it might see an adjustment going into game 2, into that lone Jolteon strategy. But in the meantime, we did find a VS Seeker off the trainer's mail, which is a great find. Probably want to have exactly that card in your hand if you can.
Could be playing into a delinquent here though. If
That's
they manage
true.
to find that, it could send them back into top decking mode.
Right.
Don't know if they'll be able to find that. I don't know if it's in their discard pile.
Well, we'll see. The VS Seeker's chosen, and it is the delinquent.
It is something that you very scary to play off of when you know that your opponent has a delinquent. You never want to have your hand size too low, but very unfortunate there.
And it's such a slap in the face that you have to choose the card to discard. It's like, well, I have one. I gotta choose it though.
All right. Well, you know, you made it to the finals. You've worked your way out. Get a little luck. Top Psycho Research.
Yeah. Wow. And actually, you don't want to put that stadium in play because it does activate Delinquent again. Delinquent can only be played if there is a stadium and you have to discard that stadium to use that Delinquent. So, of course, you'd have a 0-card hand to play it, but...
the Jolteon is back. I think Teafew is realizing what they can do now with this Jolteon, so...
Did they play the Brock's Grit? I didn't catch that. I love you too, Rose, and you are also a nerd.
I think they did. I only was very wary of Delinquent because when Delinquent was live, I was playing a lot of Sylveon, and I like Control, and that was my favorite card to play because anytime my opponents messed up.
Wow. Okay. Well, we get the energy at least, but now we have that Jolteon's back. Yeah, this is definitely a little bit unfortunate.
And one prize card left. It does seem pretty risky.
Yeah, well, this Raikou doesn't take the KO. I think it's still short a little bit, and we see that Shaman hit the bench, but of course this Volcanion in the active cannot attack in back-to-back turns because of the drawback of Volcanic Heat, so... And it actually won't even get a KO on the Raikou, and I think we just see the concession here. Volcanion's too far behind. Connor doesn't really have any win conditions left, and we'll move to game 2. Yeah, talking about that Delinquent, it's kind of hard to completely play around it sometimes though, because like you might have to play out your hand. You might get end one turn and then you can't draw into additional cards. You know, your opponent can play the stadium down and then use Delinquent themselves, so you can't always play around that Delinquent. And even if you can play around it, sometimes you just lose resources. Even if it's like, well, I have 6 cards in hand, you make me discard 3, but like, hey, I wanted those 3 cards, you know?
It's true. It might be the reason why that card is now banned.
Yeah, exactly. very much so why it is banned. And no, you're a delinquent, Rose. I mean, I'm also delinquent, but you know, we knew that. 100k channel points. Thank you. Wait, for what? Oh, for me to play a song or perform a song live? You know, I could actually do that. I do have 2 guitars over there, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to. We're here for Pokemon. But one thing we're seeing here in the active for T is this Voltorb. So we haven't even touched on this, excuse me, the Electrode from Evolutions with the Bazap Thunder ability. And you can knock itself out, and it accelerates itself as basically a double lightning energy to one of your Pokemon. I think it was just one of your lightning Pokemon or one of your single prizers or something like that. I think it's just lightning Pokemon. But it knocks itself out, so you actually get to take a prize if your opponent uses the Bazap Thunder. And
it's a great way to get one of your Pokemon powered up instantly.
Exactly. The Raikou costing 3 colorless energy, but it does more damage for each lightning energy attached to it. So it's the trade-off of you give up a prize, but then you can set up your Pokemon in one turn with an attach return plus a Bazap Thunder. Yeah, not as good as base Electro. True.
Even though they had the option to Ultra Ball for that Jolteon to get it started set it up, they opted to go for the Raikou again.
Yeah,
they're seeing a different play. You know, with it being in play for at least a turn, you do have to leave it vulnerable. It is just a boss and one steam move away from being knocked out by a Volcanion EX. So maybe Teafew thought it was just too late to get one started up, but we'll
Descending into Madness. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Thanks for the bonks, guys, too. Well, by guys, I mean just Rose, because, she gave me the bonk. Yeah, 0 damage. We talked about that ability of that Raikou reducing damage while it has lightning energy attached. And we see the Parallel City discarding their own Shaman, so that's huge. And the Jolteon hits the bench.
This is cool because you can, with the Electrodes, can remove the other prize cards from the bench, but this Raikou coming down is kind of scary because
pros
will always be an option unless you knock it out.
Well, it's funny because you say it removes the prize cards, but you take the prize cards.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah,
but it doesn't let them take a gust around it.
And here's the Flash Ray. Yeah, and the Volcanions do less damage. We talk about this Parallel City, but it has 2 sides. So one side the blue side limits that player's bench down to 3 Pokemon, but the other side of this also reduces the damage of water. I think it's water, grass, and fire Pokemon. It does reduce their damage. It does get countered with that Scorched Earth, but what do we do against this Jolteon? It's going to have to be this this Pokemon Catcher Lysander combo I mentioned previously. And we'll see if it can get pulled off, if Connor can pull it off here. Well, there's double catcher. Okay.
Get ahead.
Step 1. Can we get the second? Wow, we get it!
Oh, wow. Doesn't even need the Lysander.
Wow. And with 1 steam up, we can take the KO here. Oh, please tell me you use a steam up.
I think he has. I think he used it on the other Volcanion. But
no, I think you had to use that one. Sure. Yeah. Wow, and that was
190.
Oh no, okay, no, did already use it.
Yeah.
But hey, it's okay, just in case. Just in case. Wow, what an incredible play, though. It's one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was playing Blounds, I definitely always overkilled my opponents in the last little bit because you never can be too sure.
Yeah, they can just Brock's Grit set it up again. However, there are more prizes in play still, and it does take time to get there. I guess they could go maybe Brock's Grit this turn, get it down again, Bazap Thunder back onto it, but there's still too many Pokemon in play. There's still that Raikou, and there's always going to be that other option.
And a Paralysis to flip heads up. Not going to see too much from them, but...
Well, but there is a Switch in there. I don't recall how many copies of Switch they play, but that could be a very, very big... Paralysis flip there. We do see there are 2 copies of Switch in this deck for Connor. We're gonna have to find one of those. They do have outs to draw with this Shaman. They can use Ultra Ball to thin out the Hoopa and this Fire Energy, which I think that's the correct choice there. Yeah, that Fire Energy.
I want to make sure you can draw as many cards as possible. Check to see if they have a Switch left in their deck. It does not.
Ooh. No switches in deck. That's going to be tough, though. Oh, are you leaving, Danny? Yeah, no switch in deck is very, very unfortunate there, so just going to have to pass. Does at least remove that downside of Volcanic Heat, so we can use Volcanic Heat on this coming turn. I was going to say, as long as we don't get a heads again on that Thunder Wave. But this is what you want to see if you are Connor trying to get through, you know, the fear of this Jolteon is you're hoping that this Raikou deck has some poor draws like this. And at the very least, there's a Raikou waiting on the bench fully powered up that should be able to survive a Volcanic Heat without any steam ups, but yeah.
And I think they're also thinking the same thing there.
And that's huge taking the power heater KO too. You get more energy in play.
Does not seem like there's going to be. Cannot think of a way that it's going to be able for this Teafew to get back into this game. Unless they do play a few max elixirs. I guess they could just kind of go crazy with a bunch of heads.
Take prizes on the Shaman, I guess, and hope your opponent I guess
maybe they just actually hit pass.
Well, actually, with the Giovanni's scheme in hand, we have the KO already that does the plus 20, which reduces, it kind of nullifies the effect of that Shining Body. So you'll actually pick up the KO with the additional damage from the Giovanni's scheme and go down to a single prize left with no energy in play for our Raikou player. So this one seems destined for a game 3. The writing's on the wall, Tyson.
The writing is on the wall, my friends. We are going to a game 3.
Well, we do go into a game 3. What more do you want in the finals of a Riley's Retro Tournament? And I think we've been pretty fortunate. We've had some game 3s in the last few of these tournaments. And this is the first one in a while. It has not featured. We didn't talk about this for the YouTube games here, but this is the first one in a while. It does not feature Lee, our 2-time returning champion, did whiff top 4 of this tournament. And there will be no 3-peat. Or I guess there'll be no Lee-peat. Huh?
Oh my god. Lee, I was rooting for you this entire time until Riley said that. Now I'm glad you're not here.
But yes, we will go into game 3 here. And we start the Raikou, choosing to start the Raikou over that Voltorb. But it is kind of unfortunate. It's a tough situation because, of course, the Voltorb could get knocked out with a power heater. So I guess you do want to put the Raikou out there just so you don't get donked. It's kind of a good wall. It's a good sponge to take some of those early hits because it doesn't go down very easily. It currently has effectively 140 HP with that Shining Body active. Hydrate, I got you.
Ooh. This is unfortunate. We're going to be saying goodbye to 3 max elixirs here.
That is not what you want to see. And there's all the energy you wish you could have him play.
Yeah.
And the rest of the hand's so bad.
He did find stuff to get at least this power heater up. So at least he'll get some energy accelerated onto the field. So, but unfortunately, this deck, the rest of his hand is not so great.
Yeah, and I want to touch on something that, we're playing these Pokemon catchers in this Volcanion deck, and it kind of comes at the cost, being able to fit 4 catchers in here. It comes at the cost of playing lower counts of other cards, other consistency cards. I'm looking through their list. They only play 1 copy of N, the 4 Sycamore, so, maybe you could try to squeeze out a little bit more consistency instead of those Pokemon catchers. They do have Trainer's Mail and things like that as well, but there's no Fighting Fury Belts to make your Pokemon more resilient to hits, things like that. So, maybe you see that.
Ultra Ball.
But the Ultra Ball top deck is huge, yeah.
Sometimes you just get lucky.
Yeah, I think that or a draw supporter would have been, like, you don't top deck there and you're just very, very far behind. But no Jolteon in sight yet.
It does opt to put on a second Raikou, which is very interesting. Maybe I'm just seeing something that they're just seeing something that I'm not.
Well, and it comes down to
full send in this Raikou.
Yeah,
it is tough to deal with a Fighting Fury Belt on. It is not an easy target. So Maybe they're just saying, I don't really just need this Jolteon. If you can you even get through 4 of my single tanky Raikous?
Right, and that's a good point that maybe, you know, because we know that um, the Pokemon Catcher Lysander combo is a very valid one, you know, you can chase it down that way. Because it's a fine line of like you don't want to bench Pokemon, but if you don't bench Pokemon, you could get donked because this Volcanion has such a high damage output with those steam ups that if you don't bench enough Pokemon, you could just get donked out of the game. So it's a little bit of a fine line of like I want to bench Pokemon, but exactly enough Pokemon that I don't get donked, but I can go to a lone Jolteon at some point. So I'm surprised to see not as much of an emphasis put on this Jolteon in any of these games, really. It was more prioritizing Game 2, and then Game 3 we just don't see it at all, so it could be prized, I guess, but I'm just surprised to not see it being chosen at any point.
Lysander gonna take out the Shaman here. Seems interesting, nice, you know, you get to go on 2 prizes, but you're gonna probably get returned with a knockout, and you're gonna be left with 0 energy on board. There wasn't too much going on for Teafew's side. Gonna see, kind of unfortunate. Also paired up with and might be the saving grace that Teafew needed though.
Yeah.
Not dead.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say about that Raikou benching is that maybe it was put down there. You know, you mentioned it as a tanky one prizer that, you know, maybe it was put there to prevent something like that before, where the you know, their hand might have been pretty poor off that Sycamore and they weren't able to find additional Pokemon, so they put it down just to kind of have something to throw up off this knockout. They do find the Electrode, though. Yeah, they can Electrode attach, yeah.
This way. And with the Fighting Fury Belt and the energy, perfect. So this
and the
end that they had, the end they got end into.
But a slight misstep here is if we're going to use this Electrode, you could have used the Electrode first to force your opponent to take a prize and then end them to 4 instead of to 5. But you know what? Yeah, but they do pass. Well, it's a good thing, though, because if they don't pass, they could get, like, if they use the Electrode, they could have just gotten benched there. So it's kind of a, well, and in Vinny, I think, you know, you're probably a little bit behind slightly, but I think it could have been that exact scenario of like, well, if I end myself to 4 and whiff another basic Pokemon, I get benched out here. So I think it's a very valid, you know, wait and see off the end. And interesting, yeah.
Ooh.
I like this play though, because now there's no chance that Raikou attacks next turn.
I think the Volcanion's got a huge leg up on here right now. They, especially with the Lysander in the discard pile now, any VS Seekers and out getting around this Jolteon. Not like there's going to be a lot going in for the favor of this Raikou deck. Gotta need to pull
Ultra Ball.
Quite a bit.
They get a Voltorb down. So yeah, again, I'm wondering what the situation is with this Jolteon. Oh no, they have to Shaman. So that's very, very concerning to put that free 2 prizes in play, especially if you know. Yeah, that Electrode.
Yeah, you got an Electrode, and with a VS Seeker in Connor's hand, you're and not being able to attack still because of the Electrode being out. This is such a rough spot. Do you opt to knock out this Shaman? Yeah, I don't feel like there's any reason not to.
Well, I mean, I guess the thinking could be maybe you don't want to get end to a lower hand size. You might want to just deal with the active threat, which makes a lot of sense. Excuse me. You might want to just, you know, take out the thing with energy on them, force them to use this Electrode on the following turn, and then after that they have the Shaman as the 2 prizes to close out the game, but they might have, yeah, the Fighting Fury Belt's really making a difference there. That could be exactly the break that T needed. Still can't count. Yeah, this Raikou does have 180 HP effectively. That Parallel City reducing Volcanion's damage, the Steam Ups plus the Giovanni still not being enough to get it there.
And here comes the Jolteon, but is it a little too late for it?
Well, it's tough though, and I mean, they can get this set up here and maybe an end to a low hand size. But an N here actually isn't that great. Yeah, the Sycamore is perfect.
The Sycamore probably to find a out to the Electrode, perhaps, or maybe another Max Elixir, and seeing if they can start trying to wall with Jolteon. It just seems a little scary.
Yeah, but I mean, we go back to this. There was the VS Seeker in hand for Connor, and I liked their thinking. I liked their line of like, well, I'm gonna try to take a KO on the Raikou, the thing with energy. I think it worked out perfectly for their prize map. However, not choosing to take a free guaranteed KO with that Lysander, use that VS Seeker for something like a Lysander instead. And now here's the problem with that is you are stuck now facing down this Jolteon with Flash Ray. You have no way to damage it this turn. There's no catcher, there's no Lysander in your hand. And you can use Power Heater to get some more energy in play, but you're not doing any damage. Your other Shaman left. Yeah, I think the Shaman's prized. Oh no, they have 2 in the discard pile. Yikes.
I think they might have overlooked that because now they're definitely drawing dead.
And they could have actually kept that Fisherman around to use Scorched Earth. So that was definitely, they must have thought they had a Shaman left in their deck. Maybe the big stage of the finals on stream, getting to Connor here, or just, not checking your discard pile.
It's very hard for when you make one mistake. It's hard to not get in your head about it. So it's
exactly.
Sometimes you just have to reset and just pretend that never happened. Just look at the board state, what you have right here, and what can you do to just, even if it's not the perfect one right now, what can I do to make sure that it doesn't get any worse?
Yeah, it's the tilt factor.
But with them not using Flash.
Oh, there's the VS Seeker top deck.
That is literally, this is the one turn that they needed. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to get the Lysander.
Yeah.
The Sycamore here.
But that's still incredible top deck.
When they do this, though, it's going to leave. They might almost not want to take a knockout. Oh,
the catcher. This could be the game right here. This could be the finals deciding coin flip. And it's a heads!
Yeah, all they need is just one steam up.
Yeah.
There's no. Oh my goodness.
Wow. What incredible.
Sometimes lucky.
Wow. Yes.
Sometimes that's amazing.
That is absolutely amazing. The top deck via Seeker Sycamore into catcher heads. Absolute insanity in game 3 of the finals. And I mean, that's just game on board. Volcanion sure wasn't in 2015, but it sure as hell is in Primal Clash to Evolutions. And I can't quite read something about Sky Return.
I thought the Sky Return would have been game. Well, we did too, but
yeah, but you have to use the Flash Ray to get the lock, though. So
unfortunately, you gave him a 1-turn window, and he was able to capitalize on it, taking the game with Volcanion Heat for the knockout. Volcanion is your Riley's Retro number 8 champion. Congratulations!
Absolutely incredible. Congrats to Connor taking down the tournament, beating that Jolteon. Jolteon is very sad.